Have you ever felt a chill in a place of profound quiet? That sudden unnerving prickle on the back of your neck? The distinct undeniable sensation that you are not truly alone? Some places you see they hold on to things, memories, echoes, perhaps something more. This historic battlefield is one such place, a silent witness to a tumultuous past. It waits, it watches, it remembers all too well. It seems to breathe with a life not entirely its own. The air here hangs heavy, thick with unspoken stories. Old cannons stand guard, their metal cold and unyielding. Weathered stone monuments reach towards a somber sky. The wind whispers through the tall grass, a mournful sound. It's a place where history feels almost alive. You can almost hear the distant drums of war. The ground beneath your feet feels sacred, yet disturbed. As daylight begins to fade, long shadows stretch and writhe. What secrets do these encroaching shadows conceal from view? The silence here is different. It's a loaded silence. It presses in on you, amplifying every tiny sound. Is that the rustle of leaves or something else entirely? A footstep perhaps on the path just behind you. That distant bird call, did it sound almost human? Your senses become heightened, almost painfully aware. There's a solemnity, a deep, resonating quiet. Yet beneath that quiet the past seems to scream, a silent, unending cry from long, long ago. People come here from all corners of the world. They arrive seeking knowledge, a connection to history. They come to pay their respects, to remember the fallen. But sometimes they encounter something unexpected, something they were not prepared to find. An ancient presence, watchful and ever vigilant. They walk these hallowed grounds, often unaware, or perhaps a primal instinct stirs within them. The history here isn't just in the plaques, it's in the air. Most visitors depart with souvenirs, photographs, a poignant memory. They carry with them a deeper understanding of sacrifice, but for a select few the departure is different. They leave with something more, something else. An ethereal sound, barely there. A soft, insidious voice. Just a whisper really, so faint you might dismiss it. You might tell yourself it was merely the wind playing tricks. But it settles in the mind. It lingers. It waits. Always the same words, spoken in the quietest moments. What does it say, this chilling, ethereal whisper? It's not a warning cry from a spectral soldier, nor is it a plea for help from a lost soul. No, this is something far more intimate, more disturbing. 3 simple words. Yet they carry an immense weight. Words that seem to point a spectral finger directly at you. You brought it with you. What could it possibly mean? What are they referring to? The question hangs there, cold and unanswered. Imagine this, if you will. You are back home. Days, perhaps weeks, have passed since your visit. The house is still, the night is quiet. You are alone, and then, distinct and clear, you hear it. A soft murmur, as if someone is standing right beside you. You brought it with you. The voice is unmistakable. It's not a fading memory of the battlefield sounds. It is here, now, in your sanctuary, with you. The terror that follows is sharp, visceral, and very real. This whisper, you see, it's not just another ghost story. It's not confined to the blood-soaked soil of that old battlefield. It breaks free. It travels. It latches on. It suggests something profoundly unsettling about the place. It implies that visitors can become unwitting carriers. Carriers of what, precisely? A lingering sorrow? A curse? Or perhaps something far more ancient, more sinister? The silence that descends after the whisper is almost worse. It leaves you wondering, and it leaves you waiting. This was not always a place of quiet reflection. Long before the tourists and the historical markers, there was chaos. The ground itself is soaked in the blood of thousands. Soldiers young and old met their brutal end right here. Their cries, their fear, their final desperate breaths. Some say those intense emotions never truly dissipated. They seeped into the soil, into the very stones, leaving an indelible scar, a wound that will not heal. This land remembers the agony it was forced to witness. It holds on to the sorrow, a heavy, invisible shroud. Imagine the ferocity, the sheer scale of the conflict, cannonballs tearing through the air, a symphony of destruction, the clash of steel, the screams of the wounded. For days, this tranquil field was a vision of hell itself. The earth trembled with the force of explosions and marching feet. Every tree, every blade of grass bore silent witness. The sun rose and set on scenes of unimaginable carnage. How could such profound trauma simply vanish with time? It couldn't, it didn't, it lingers deep within the earth. The land became a vessel, holding the echoes of that pain. The very air you breathe here feels different. It carries a weight, a solemnity that settles upon you. Some visitors speak of a sudden inexplicable sadness, a wave of grief that washes over them for no apparent reason. They feel the echoes of loss, the shadows of past despair. It is as if the land itself is sighing, a mournful exhalation. Generations have passed, but the sorrow remains potent. It is an intrinsic part of this place, woven into its fabric. A silent testament to the suffering endured on this hallowed ground. The history here is not just read in books, it is felt. Local legends speak of the ground being cursed. They say the blood spilled was too much for the land to bear, that it tainted the soil, making it forever restless. Farmers in bygone eras reported uneasy livestock near its borders. Strange cold spots would appear and disappear without cause. Even on the brightest summer day, a peculiar chill could linger. These were the old tales, whispered by flickering candlelight, warnings to stay away after dark, to respect the fallen. Little did they know these were just the opening whispers. The true, chilling nature of the battlefield's voice was yet to awaken. Long before the chilling phrase, the battlefield had a reputation. Locals spoke of unease, groundskeepers reported moved tools or the feeling of being watched. Just an unsettling sense they were not alone. Old caretakers spoke of misty figures and disembodied sounds. Visitors felt chills or unseen eyes. Children refused to enter areas speaking of a sad man. These incidents accumulated like cracks in silence. The battlefield was trying to communicate its disquiet. The land was stirring, its ancient trauma restless, preparing to speak directly. The year was 1998. Sarah, a history teacher from Ohio, visited the battlefield. She was a pragmatist, a woman of logic and reason. She came to gather material for her classes, to walk the historic paths. The day was ordinary, the visit informative and moving. She felt the expected solemnity, the weight of the past. But nothing overtly supernatural, nothing to cause alarm. She took her photographs, made her notes, and then she left. She drove home, her mind filled with stories of courage and sacrifice. The battlefield, she thought, was behind her. Little did she know, its echo was already traveling with her, silent and unseen. A week later, Sarah was alone in her quiet suburban home. She was grading papers, the only sound the ticking of a clock. Then, she heard it, a whisper, soft but distinct. Close by, as if someone were standing just over her shoulder. "You brought it with you." 3 simple, chilling words. She froze, pen hovering above the paper, her heart pounding. Her house was locked. No one else was home. It was impossible. She strained her ears, listening for any other sound, any explanation. Silence. A heavy, profound silence that amplified her fear. The voice had been undeniably real, undeniably there. Sarah tried to rationalize it. Stress, she told herself. Fatigue. Perhaps she had misheard, her mind playing tricks. But the clarity of the whisper, the specific words, haunted her. She hadn't heard anything like it at the battlefield. This was new. This was in her home, her safe space. Sleep became difficult, every creak of the house making her jump. She started leaving lights on, dreading the quiet moments. The whisper didn't return immediately, which was almost worse. It left her in a state of constant anticipation, of gnawing dread. When would it speak again? And what did it mean? Then, a few days later, it happened again. She was in her kitchen, the morning sun streaming through the window. A moment of normalcy, shattered in an instant. "You brought it with you." The same soft, insidious tone. This time, terror gave way to a chilling realization. This was connected to her visit. It had to be. The battlefield hadn't just stayed in her memories. A part of it, some unseen, unheard thing, had followed her. Sarah was one of the first to report this specific, terrifying phenomenon. Her story, once shared, would open the floodgates for others. Sarah's account acted as a catalyst. Battlefield staff began sharing similar experiences. The whisper, the same chilling phrase. Tour guides admitted to hearing it, sometimes in their own homes. The words, "You brought it with you." A groundskeeper, Thomas, confessed he'd heard the whisper months before. Curators working with artifacts also reported unsettling incidents. One woman heard the whisper emanate from the objects themselves. Their testimonies carried weight, adding a disturbing layer of credibility. It was becoming a documented phenomenon. Sarah's story unlocked a flood of confessions. People everywhere began sharing their own encounters with the whisper. The phenomenon spread far beyond the battlefield. City apartments, rural homes, all haunted by the same chilling phrase, "You brought it with you." Fear united the victims. Their homes no longer felt safe. Even skeptics found themselves shaken, unable to dismiss the mounting evidence. The reports were eerily consistent, impossible to ignore. The battlefield's shadow was growing, its secret now a nationwide terror. What began as whispers had become a chorus of fear. For some, the whisper became a relentless tormentor. It repeated its accusation, growing bolder and clearer with time. Subtle disturbances followed, cold drafts, objects moved, a sense of being watched. Victims grew exhausted, their nerves frayed by sleepless nights. The whisper's presence invaded every aspect of their lives. Anxiety and isolation took hold as the haunting became inescapable. The entity was no longer content to haunt their homes, it haunted their minds. The message was clear. It was here to stay. Desperate for answers, investigators searched for patterns. No single spot on the battlefield, no specific type of visitor. Anyone could be chosen. The only link: each victim had walked that historic ground. Theories about emotional states or disrespect proved fruitless. The randomness was terrifying. The whisper chose without reason. The battlefield was not just a place, it was an active force. All who heard the phrase shared one thing: they had been there. The true nature of what followed them home remained a chilling mystery. Some victims turned to technology, desperate for proof. Hours of recordings yielded nothing until Sarah Jane's breakthrough. Alone after her battlefield visit, she captured the whisper, "You brought it with you." The recording was faint but unmistakable, sending chills through all who heard it. Experts analyzed the audio. The voice was close, emotionless, and inhuman. No background sounds, no explanation, just a disembodied warning. The evidence was undeniable. The whisper was real. The haunting had left the realm of rumor and entered reality. For some, the whisper was only the beginning. Fleeting shadows appeared at the edge of vision, vanishing when confronted. Cold spots, oppressive feelings, and the sense of a presence followed the voice. These phenomena were impossible to document but deeply felt. The haunting evolved, becoming more invasive and physical. Victims felt their homes invaded, their peace shattered. The question grew darker: what had they truly brought home? The entity's presence was no longer just heard, it was felt. The stories spread, demanding attention from media and officials. Fearful families and communities called for answers. Investigators, academic and paranormal, began collecting testimonies. Patterns were elusive, but the need for understanding grew urgent. The central question haunted everyone: what had people brought back? Was it trauma, or something with its own will? The battlefield offered no answers, only silence. The search for truth had begun, driven by a chorus of fear. Precious audio recordings became pivotal, offering tangible evidence. Forensic audio experts deciphered the faintest noises. Recordings were scrutinized, magnified, and dissected. Could technology reveal what the human ear missed? Technicians isolated segments, applying noise reduction and spectrographic analysis. They sought signs of vocal production, comparing acoustic properties. Was it a hoax, a misinterpretation, or something unexplainable? Findings revealed unsettling absences: breath sounds, mouth sounds, natural cadence. The voice had an unnerving, flat consistency, almost too perfect. While some recordings remained ambiguous, others presented a genuine puzzle, unexplained by conventional phenomena. Science identified anomalies but couldn't declare a paranormal origin. The whisper was not simple imagination, but a complex, measurable, extraordinarily unusual sound. As the legend grew, so did skepticism. Psychologists and rationalists offered alternative explanations, grounded in the human mind. The power of suggestion, they argued, could be immense, especially in evocative settings. Mass hysteria, a collective delusion fueled by fear, was also proposed. Auditory pareidolia, the brain's tendency to find patterns in random noise, was another explanation. Could mundane sounds be misinterpreted in a state of heightened anxiety? The emotional weight of visiting a place of tragedy could leave a deep psychological imprint. Clinical psychologists pointed to the potential for stress-induced hallucinations. The challenge was the consistency of reports, so many people hearing the same words. Yet rational explanations often failed to quell the deep-seated fear. The battle between belief and skepticism was now fully joined. Drawn by the notoriety and chilling audio, numerous paranormal investigation teams turned their attention to the battlefield. Equipped with specialized equipment like EMF meters, audio recorders, and thermal cameras, they sought definitive proof. Investigations began at night, the battlefield taking on an unsettling atmosphere. Teams conducted EVP sessions, hoping for a reply. Initial findings were ambiguous: EMF spikes, faint whispers, and cold spots. The most chilling aspect was that the whisper followed people home. Teams interviewed victims, seeking commonalities. The Paranormal Pursuit added another layer of mystery, a more dispersed puzzle. The phrase, "you brought it with you," became an obsession for investigators and the public. What did these words truly signify? Linguists analyzed the accusatory "you" and the ambiguous "it." Was it a sorrow, a curse, or battlefield trauma? Psychologists saw primal fears of contamination and unseen burdens. It could represent guilt or inner anxieties given form. The phrase acted as a mirror, reflecting hidden fears, allowing imagination to run wild. Paranormal theorists saw a literal meaning, an attachment from the battlefield, perhaps a restless spirit or elemental energy. The ambiguity was terrifying, offering no solution. If you didn't know what it was, how could you get rid of it? Decoding the darkness was like staring into an abyss. The whisper's power lay in its insidious unanswered question. What if the answer lay not in spirits but in the earth itself? Some theories pointed to the very ground, the soil beneath their feet. This land had witnessed unimaginable trauma, soaked in sorrow. Could such intense emotional residue permeate the environment? Perhaps the battlefield itself held a kind of psychic charge, a lingering energy, imprinted by the horrors of the past. An invisible weight that clung to the unsuspecting visitor. This theory suggested the land itself possessed a memory that could, somehow, be carried away. The very dirt and stones acting as unwilling conduits. Geopathic stress was another avenue explored by some researchers. This controversial idea suggests that certain locations on Earth emit energies that can be detrimental to human well-being. Could the intense violence of the battle have scarred the land, creating disturbances, invisible fault lines of negative energy? Visitors, sensitive to these subtle disruptions, might react. Perhaps the whisper was a manifestation of this earthly imbalance, a direct result of prolonged exposure to these troubled zones. The land itself, in its distress, imprinting on those who walked it. You brought it with you, a piece of its disturbed essence. Consider the sheer concentration of human suffering in one small area. Thousands of lives extinguished amidst fear, pain, and anguish. Could such powerful emotions leave a lasting, tangible mark? Not as ghosts necessarily, but as a potent atmospheric residue. A kind of emotional pollution, clinging to the air, the trees, the soil. Visitors, unknowingly, might absorb some of this dense negativity, like walking through a cloud of unseen, sorrowful particles. The whisper, then, could be the mind's attempt to process this, to give voice to the oppressive feeling they carried away, an unconscious recognition of the emotional burden they now bore. Local folklore, even before the famous battle, hinted at unease. Whispers among older generations spoke of areas best avoided, places where livestock would not graze, where plants struggled to thrive. Were these ancient warnings pointing to something intrinsically wrong, something inherent in the land long before the cannons roared? The battle, in this view, might have amplified a pre-existing condition, a natural anomaly, a place where the veil was already thin. The phrase "you brought it with you" might then refer to this older negativity, stirred up, activated by the visitor's passage through sacred troubled ground, the land itself trying to expel an unwelcome influence. Then there were theories that looked beyond the veil to something truly spectral. Many believed the whisper was the voice of spirits, trapped, their final moments replaying. The battlefield, echoing with sorrow, and the chilling phrase, "you brought it with you." Was it a warning? Some suggested a singular entity, a gatekeeper, resenting the living, disturbing its rest. The whisper marking those who pass through, a spectral claim. Was it a fragment of sorrow or something more personal, its own unresolved anguish? Another thought considered non-human entities drawn to suffering, feeding off psychic energy. The whisper from something darker, never human. A terrifying prospect, far removed from grieving soldier spirits. Many sought answers within the intricate labyrinth of the human mind. Visitors arrived expecting to feel something, contributing to a heightened state of emotional sensitivity, a projection of the visitor's own internal landscape. The story of the whisper "you brought it with you" was spreading. The impact of visiting a site of mass death cannot be understated, leaving a deep emotional residue. Skeptics also pointed to confirmation bias, a powerful psychological force. The cause may lie in perception, not paranormal reality. The mind, a powerful storyteller, crafting its own chilling narrative. Beyond the battle's history lay deeper folklore. The land had its own stories of strange happenings, tales of disappearances, strange lights, and a pervasive unease clung to the land. Could the battlefield's haunting be an ancient curse amplified? The battle, with its violence, could have drawn older, latent energies. Consider intersecting legends, a confluence of hauntings. creating a complex, multi-layered haunting that defied simple explanation. It could be the tip of an iceberg of paranormal activity, a perfect storm of spectral energies and historical trauma. The folklore suggests the whisper's roots delve far deeper than the battlefield. The whisper didn't vanish with the morning light nor fade like a dream. For many it marked a journey where silence was no longer peaceful. Sleep transformed into anxious dreams. The psychological toll eroded their inner peace. They were forever altered. This isolation became a heavy burden. The experience carved a chasm between them and the unsuspecting world. Therapists offered conventional remedies, but how does one medicate a whisper? Fearing institutionalization, standard treatments offered no solace. Their sense of safety was shattered. Would it return? This uncertainty became a persistent shadow. They might never fully get back their peace. The stories began to pour into the wider public consciousness, demanding attention. Local newspapers were the first to pick up the scent. Soon, regional news outlets followed, sensing a story with broader appeal. The whisper that follows you home, a headline too chilling to ignore. Each media report added another thread to the growing tapestry of this modern myth. The internet buzzed with an intensity that amplified every detail. The whisper rapidly became a viral sensation, a chilling piece of digital folklore. The battlefield's quiet sorrow was now broadcast to a global audience. The battlefield became an even greater magnet for the curious and the genuinely brave. The chilling phrase, "You brought it with you," transcended its origins and became a recognized paranormal trope. The legend served as a stark, terrifying reminder that sometimes, the echoes of a violent past don't stay in the past. The gates remain open to all. Day after day the curious arrive, they walk the paths where history was written. But does the past stay in the past? The stories suggest otherwise. It offers an experience far more chilling, an encounter one does not easily forget. New reports continue to surface from unsettled visitors. They too hear those soft, insidious words. You brought it with you. The phenomenon persists, a terrifying echo that refuses to fade. The battlefield's unquiet spirit still reaches out. The enigma endures. The mystery remains, a puzzle with too many missing pieces. The battlefield stands, a monument to history, a place where the veil between worlds is stretched thin. For those who hear it, it is a deeply personal violation, a scar etched upon their psyche. Their homes become potential stages for an unseen terror. They carry a burden that others cannot see, a constant, unwelcome companion. You brought it with you. It carries the weight of an ancient curse. The phrase itself is a masterpiece of psychological torment, precise and cruel. The terrifying ambiguity of it, that is the core of the enduring horror. Each victim left to imagine their own version of it, their own personal nightmare. As visitors continue to walk those haunted grounds, what do they truly carry away with them when they depart? What did they bring with them? What did they bring?